Hi, my name is Nathan Quao and welcome to the review of match day 2 of the ongoing Euro 2016 in France here on Citi TV. And Benjamin Nketsia joins me for this breakdown. Ben, it's been a fantastic match day 2. You know, match day 1 started slowly. You complained about the lack of goals. I don't know what you've got to say now. The goals have started flowing.
Well, especially for some nations who needed it badly. Belgium, for one, needed that win to give themselves a boost in confidence, and I think that they went out there and did it really well. I'm still not convinced about how far they can go in this tournament though. I still believe that they are far from being a team that is capable of competing favorably with the big guns at this competition, but I think that that win will get them off the mark and will actually instill some confidence in them going forward. As to how far they can go in the competition, I am not too sure.
Well, I saw that game, and Ireland, they looked so weird. Now, they defended well, but they broke down in attack, especially when they had to give the crucial pass. And Belgium found their form. Lukaku got 2 goals. Great work. The Italians, they are the team to watch in that group. They've managed to pick up 2 wins. Do they look like a team that really wants to get to the latter stages of this competition? Because people have criticized their team. They've criticized Conte, but they seem to have figured out how to play a tournament and win.
Well, primarily the way of the Italians from about the last decade or maybe the last 2 decades. That's what they've been about. They never are the ones who parade the superstar players at the competition, but discipline and the Italian defense, as we've known it, I think is coming back to manifest in modern day football. I mean, they've kept that back line for what, close to 3-4 major competitions.
They all play for club and country. 3 of them plus Buffon feature for Juventus. So clearly you can tell there's cohesion.
Exactly. The chemistry is excellent. And the leadership in defense as well from Buffon, the likes of Chiellini and Bazzagli, you cannot quantify that sort of leadership that you get from a team. And I mean, if they have a stable enough midfield, we see what they can do. The attack will always not be the ones to contribute the big goals in a competition of this nature. And I think that we've seen that largely. They have players who can step up in big games to help them win games. And we saw it in the last competition. They managed to grind out result after result till they finally made it to the final. So the Italians, you never want to rule out, especially after that masterclass performance against Belgium in the opening stage of the competition.
Let's talk about England. They finally managed to get a win. It was a very difficult one against Wales. Roy Hodgson has been called into question. Some say his tactical genius got them out of that tight spot. 2 changes, 2 goals. I have issues with Roy Hodgson. I think he's managing this team terribly by picking the wrong players. But you must admit that he called it very quickly and he managed to get the team to turn things around.
Well, I don't know much about tactical genius, because if you have Jamie Vardy and Daniel Sturridge on your bench, 2 players who have proven that in the right frame of mind and with the right fitness, they are capable of scoring on any day. Well, he had no option but to save his own face and his job with that particular change, and it worked to perfection for him. I'm just hoping that he would have learned his lessons from the hitches they've had in their opening 2 games and will make better decisions. I feel that sometimes managers overcomplicate games for themselves. Selections are there for you. The form guide is there for you to follow. Sometimes the form guide can be deceptive, and I understand that that's how come he's gone with Dele Alli the entire tournament. I feel that he's been a massive disappointment. He looks as if he's overwhelmed by the pressure needed to perform at a stage of this nature. And for me, England will require they will require calmer heads going into the other matches, because you get the sense that the competition is just about starting. I mean, for those who are just about making it out of the group stages, they will prepare for tougher battles in the coming games. And you want players like James Milner, tough physically, tough mentally, and also can give you an edge in set-piece situations in the midfield area. Versatility as well will be a big part. Dele Alli has looked a bit boxed in. He's looked a bit limited in options, and he's looked very nervous when he's been closed down by tenacious defenders. I think that the coach must study that particular situation and also make some critical changes. Roy Hodgson, again, he will have to hook Adam Lallana.
The place Slovakia, are you expecting some changes? Who do you think is going to bring in? I mean, personally, I think Harry Kane should be put out for a while, and then you start with the Vardy, Sturridge striking axis just to see what happens. I don't know if you agree.
I mean, if I start from the backline, I think the backline plus the goalkeeper have been pretty fine so far.
So you'd keep them?
I'll keep the backline. I'll keep Eric Dyer in there. add James Milner to give him a little more stability and make James Milner an attacking force. We don't see a lot of James Milner, the attacking force. I think that he has a lot more up his sleeve than he usually gets to show. Raheem Sterling, I think he's been largely disappointing for me in this competition. He's gotten in good areas and he's gotten in areas where he could actually let his influence count on the game, but it's been largely peripheral for him. I think that it's time a more efficient player was brought into the lineup. Daniel Sturridge, probably bring him in, but do not play him as a striker. I always feel that coaches do not know how to use Daniel Sturridge.
So where's his best position? I mean, clearly he knows how to score goals. So where else do you play him? But would you introduce Vardy as his partner, or you'd still leave Vardy out?
I'd certainly introduce Jamie Vardy because he's shown that he's the English striker with the biggest heart and one for the big moment. So you put Jamie Vardy in no matter what. He's been through a big season and you don't know, or you have no idea what sort of confidence that sort of season does for a player. But for Daniel Sturridge, I feel that he's always been capable of playing anywhere along the attacking places. On the left wing, he can improvise at the central position as a number 10. He is capable of actually helping his team out because of his great link-up play, his dribbling abilities, and his ability to do the unexpected. I believe that is his greatest weapon. On the right wing as well, I mean, he's left-footed. We know he likes to cut in. We know he likes to take defenders on. He can do a lot by creating spaces, if not even just scoring the goals, by being a factor in the game. So I feel that Roy Hodgson, he's got it wrong by dropping Sturridge in the beginning and dropping Vardy as well. I hope that he will do the right thing by starting those two players.
Well, England plays Slovakia. The Russians face Wales, and it will be quite complicated. But let's move on to Spain's group. Now, your team, Croatia, blew a great lead the other day. They drew 2-2 to the Czech Republic. The biggest concern is Luka Modric. It looks like he will not play against Spain. But what have you made of the Croats, especially their mental attitude in that game? Because they led by 2 and they blew it all away.
I mean, I think about that particular game, and that game could have been wrapped up before Croatia managed to get back in it. And they were very soft goals Croatia conceded. But you feel like they needed this jolt to wake them up. I still believe that they are a team that have the markings of one that will go deep into this competition, but they needed this wake-up call just to give them a sense of how tough this competition
I've
can
seen
be.
the Croats, and like I said way before the tournament started, I feel that they will have massive challenges. Where they fail will be up front. I can't seem to recognize who's going to get them the goals. Mandzukic has been terrible, and he looks very carefree, as if there's nothing at stake. This is European Championships, and I feel he should start doing better. But we'll see how that plays out. Let's look at Spain. They've looked great. They got 3 goals. For the first time in the tournament, they were the first team to get 3 goals. They went past Turkey very, very easily. Are you convinced that the Spanish can go far, or you still think that when it matters most, they will start to have problems?
Well, I think that we saw a couple of key things in that opening game against Turkey. For instance, the mundane overpassing of the ball that we've seen in previous competitions wasn't there. Okay. The ball was moved quicker, the play was more direct, and they actually attempted crosses a couple of times in the game, something you barely see Spain ever do. And I believe that that's due to the inclusion of Alvaro Morata, who provides them a great presence in the box to seek out, especially when the team is counter-attacking and they can get to catch the opponent on the break. He's shown that when trust is reposed in him, he can come up big for the Spaniards, and that's what we saw in the game against Turkey. Will Spain be able to go deep into this competition? I certainly believe so. One other individual I saw with a resurgent performance was Andres Iniesta. I mean, towards the end of the season, you might talk about how great Barcelona.
Jaded. Yes. It wasn't as if his head wasn't in the right place.
Exactly. I mean, his influence on games particularly had started to wane. The passes, or the talent passes we've known him for, were not going through anymore. But in that game, or that opening match against Turkey, he stamped his authority on the match.
Got the assist for the win against the Czechs. He was great. So Andres
distributing the ball, yes.
Alvaro Morata, I feel, has been a great central attacker. And just like you said, he provides Spain with an option. Now they don't have to pass the ball a lot. They can quickly run down the sides, cross for him to head on. Let's move on and talk about Portugal. They've looked extremely weird. Now, I've seen them play. Some of the football has been good. Andre Gomez and some of the other guys look fantastic. But it's their arrowhead Cristiano Ronaldo who's coming for the most criticism. He's not scored, and he's looked very poor for large parts of this tournament.
Well, the danger in this situation is that Cristiano Ronaldo might be pushed into playing hero ball, which we all know will be a very sad situation for Portugal to find themselves in. They have great individual talents around various areas on the pitch. The problem with Portugal, like I always said, it's with their drive. They don't seem to be driven enough for a team that a lot of people supposedly consider European football royalty. They are not quite there yet. I mean, I believe that they will have to summon some of that spirit that they had 12 years ago when they made it to the finals, when they hosted the competition. Sometimes you just need to find a reason to want to play. I think that Ronaldo and Portugal need to feed off the doubt of everybody, need to feed off the negativity they are being, the negativity that is being thrown at them, just to be able to climb out of the group stages. I mean, the group stages can be a little tricky, and that group is very wide open as things
They
stand.
play Hungary next, you know, in that final game. They've dropped points to Iceland, to Austria. They play Hungary next. The Hungarians are on 4 points, and like you said a few days ago, nobody expected them to be here, but they are here. They escaped really from that loss, and they almost lost to Iceland. They drew 1-1. How far do you think they can go? Now, they've got to play Austria in the final group game where everything is at stake.
Well, I think that largely, if you've paid attention to the competition, the Hungarians have been one of the better teams with regards to performing as a unit. I mean, they barely have a star player in the team, unless you are considering Balak Juzak, who I think has led the team exceptionally well. He's made telling passes. He's kept the temperament of his players at an even level when the game looks as if it was just about getting away from them, and it will be essential. It's one of those teams where you really don't know what to expect from, and that makes it hard for opposing coaches to scout and also to analyze, because you don't know who is going to hurt you, and that's what's worked for the Hungarians so far. For the Portuguese though, I believe that they will have to really knuckle down and get a big performance in that game against the Hungarians. It's that sort of game Ronaldo could just about influence, but how far will his influence
What
go?
exactly do they need to do? People have spoken about maybe changing things around. Maybe Ronaldo should be playing from the wider areas now.
Well, I mean, I would usually call out Fernando Santos as a coach, but you get the sense that this goes beyond just coaching. I think that sometimes we as analysts overemphasize the value of tactics and the influence of a coach. Sometimes players have a responsibility to play. Only you know what it feels like to be on the pitch doing what it is that you are doing. So the Portuguese will really need to count on their big boys. Forget about Cristiano Ronaldo. João Moutinho. He's been in this team for as long as I can remember. Creative stalwart. They will need his creation. I mean, a couple of years ago, he had a mean long-range strike on him. I don't know what happened.
Everybody was clamoring to sign João Moutinho.
Exactly my point. Ricardo Quaresma. I thought his career was finished. He's been revived in the last couple of years. He's had a chance to show what he's got in this Portuguese team again. I think that for once, I've seen players do it before. He needs to turn back the hands of time, just to give everybody the sense of the Ricardo Quaresma that existed about a decade ago.
Like you're saying, Portugal need to go all out really against Hungary. It's a very tricky situation. The Austrians are lurking, and like you said, it's a very open group. One win for anybody, and they could find themselves in contention as one of the four third best, or one of the four teams to make it through as third place teams in that group. But generally, just before we end up looking at this, the French have made it to the next round. That group is done. There's England we are talking about. We've mentioned Portugal. There's Spain in the mix. The other teams, which teams are you expecting to find a way of making it through to the second round? Because match day 3 essentially kicks off this week.
Well, if you look at Group A, I think that as things stand now, like you said, the French have made it. The Swiss, I think, will just about also make it, or if they haven't made it already, into the next round. I'm looking for the Croats to also give a solid performance against Spain, just to cement their position in the next round.
Germany have got to play Northern Ireland. Easy peasy. Does it guarantee the Germans an automatic ticket now?
It does actually. I'll be very, very surprised if they drop the ball in that one, because they have proven to be one of the more efficient teams, especially in the early stages of a competition. They always dispel the early demons and manage to get the business done. So
Ukraine have been fairly disappointed. It looks like Poland will be getting the second ticket in that group.
Certainly. Poland are a very, very tactically disciplined team. They have not started firing. I mean, having a striker of Lewandowski's caliber, I expected that they would have actually found the back of the net a bit more, or would have at least created more goal-scoring opportunities. But like I say, as long as the tournament wears on, teams will get more desperate, openings will pop up, players will get injured, players will get fatigued, people will lose concentration, cracks will open, and teams will score more goals.
So that's it. I mean, it's been a fantastic match day 2 of the Euros. Match day 3 starts this week. Later this weekend, we'll start to figure out who the big boys are as the little teams pack up and head out for France. Benjamin and Nketsia join me. My name is Nathan Quao. It's been a breakdown of match day 2. We've got another look at match day 3 when it finally comes to an end here on Citi TV. Tune in. We've got more for you on air, more for you online, and here